So you did it. You launched your new Google ad campaign, you're sitting back, ready for the customers to start pouring in, and then, well, it's just crickets, right? 0 clicks, 0 impressions, just a dashboard full of zeros. I know, it's so frustrating, but trust me, this is a super common problem, and today we are going to get it sorted out. Does this screen just give you that sinking feeling in your stomach? Yeah, you are definitely in the right place. So many advertisers, especially when they're new to the game, hit this exact same wall. And it feels like you've done something horribly wrong. But you know what? Often, the fix is just a few simple clicks away. Okay, so let's dive right in. We're going to run a simple 6-point diagnostic check. I want you to think of it like a pre-flight checklist for your ad campaign. We're going to find out exactly what's keeping it on the ground and, finally, get this thing in the air. First things first, we've got to make sure Google has even given you the green light to run. This is the most basic, fundamental check, and you would be surprised how often this is the entire source of the problem. Now, this is a critical detail that a lot of people miss. Approval actually happens on 2 different levels. First, your overall campaign, the whole project, needs to be enabled. That's kind of like the main power switch. But then each individual ad inside that campaign also needs its own green light. You can totally have an enabled campaign that's going nowhere because the ads themselves are stuck in review or worse, disapproved. So what are we actually looking for in that status column? Well, eligible or approved is obviously what we want to see. Disapproved is a hard stop, a total dead end. But the one you really have to watch out for is eligible limited. This one is so sneaky. It's basically Google telling you, yeah, we'll show your ad, but we don't really love it, so we're going to limit its reach. That is a massive red flag that some hidden policy issue is basically kneecapping your entire campaign from the start. Okay, so you've checked your approvals and everything looks good. Let's move on to checkpoint number 2, your bidding strategy. This is a classic mistake we see all the time. By trying to be a little too clever or too restrictive right out of the gate, you can accidentally tell Google's algorithm, hey, don't even bother putting my ad in the auction. So the fix here is pretty simple. You're going to head into your campaign settings. If you see Target CPA, that stands for Target Cost Per Acquisition, and it's turned on, just turn it off for now. See, that strategy tells Google, only show my ad if you think you can get me a customer for this exact price. But your new campaign has 0 data, so it can't make that call. Instead, switch to something way broader, like maximize conversions or maximize clicks. And listen, this part is so important. Do not set a maximum cost per click limit yet. You want to give the algorithm as much freedom as possible to find those first few impressions. All right, on to section 3, targeting. You could have the greatest ad in the history of the world, but if you're showing it in a place where nobody's looking, well, you're going to get 0 results. It all boils down to one simple thing called search volume. I mean, just look at this difference. It's wild. Searching for a pizza shop in a place like New York City could get you 10,000 searches a month. But that exact same search term in a tiny town like Boksburg, South Africa, might only get 10. If your target location is too small, there literally might not be enough people searching for what you do for your ad to ever get shown. So here's the fix, and it's a test. I want you to just blow up your targeting for a little while. If you're aiming for just one zip code, expand it to the whole state, or hey, even the whole country. This is not permanent, okay? It's just a diagnostic step. If your ads suddenly start getting impressions on that bigger scale, then bingo, you found your problem. Your original targeting was just way too narrow. And that brings us right into our next point, which is totally related: keywords. You know, just like with location targeting, being way too specific with your keywords before you have any data can completely stall out your campaign. I love this analogy. Think of it this way. Using only exact match keywords is like spearfishing. It's super precise, but you have to know exactly where the fish are. And for a new campaign, you just don't. Broad match, on the other hand, is like casting a wide net. It's a lot less precise, sure, but its whole purpose is to find out where the fish are biting in the first place. You always start with the net to gather data, and then you can start spearfishing. So here are the common mistakes we see all the time. First, like we just said, only using exact match right from the beginning. Second, relying on these super specific long-tail keywords. I mean, let's be honest, almost nobody is typing pepperoni pizza shop near me with vegan options into Google. You have to include those simple, high-volume keywords like just pizza shop to even get the ball rolling. We are on the home stretch now. These last 2 checks are really simple, but they are so powerful, and they are often the final missing piece of this whole puzzle. First up, your budget.
Let's do some simple math. If the average cost for just one click in your industry is, say, $1.08, well, your $1 a day budget is never going to be enough to even get you into the game. Make sure it's high enough to afford at least a couple of clicks. Second, and this is a big one, remember that sneaky eligible limited status from our very first check? This is where you fix it. Go back, find the specific asset, maybe it's a call extension that Google flagged, and just remove it for now. That alone can be like releasing the emergency brake on your campaign.
This quote right here really sums up the entire philosophy of this whole diagnostic. When you are starting from scratch with zero data, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is just getting some action. You need to open up the settings, your bidding, your location, your keywords, to feed Google's algorithm the raw data it needs to start learning what actually works. Now, you gotta be patient here. These changes are not instantaneous. You might see your very first clicks show up within about 12 hours, but you need to give Google's system a full 24 to 48 hours to process everything and really get things moving. Don't panic and start changing everything again after just 1 hour, okay? So after all that theory, you're probably wondering, okay, but does this stuff actually work? Well, let's take a look at the real-world campaign where this exact 6-point check was used. And there it is. From a dashboard of all zeros to 2 clicks and a growing number of impressions in just 12 hours. Look, it's not a flood of traffic, not yet, but it's the most important thing you can get. It's proof of life. It tells you the campaign is working. Now you can start refining and optimizing it. So the key takeaway, if you remember one thing from this, is this: start broad, get the data, then refine. So many new advertisers just strangle their own campaigns with settings that are too restrictive, too perfect, right from the start. You've got to give your ads some room to breathe, and I promise they'll tell you what works.
You know, getting that click is really just the first step. The journey from a click to an actual customer, well, that involves landing pages and ad copy and a dozen other things. So the real question we want to leave you with is, now that you know how to get your ads running, what's your plan for what happens next?